Hello everyone. If you like what I'm doing here, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. It would really help the channel out quite a bit. Thank you very much. Hello Graveyard Talkers, and welcome to another episode of Graveyard Talk, and my name is Randy, and welcome to Woodmere Cemetery here in the city of Detroit. Now we've come here to Woodmere for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that this is one of the most haunted cemeteries in the area. They say at night, if you walk by, you can hear the cries of the children who are buried inside the cemetery. Also, not so many years ago, that there was a reddish orb that kept glowing around the cemetery, on the outside of the cemetery. And some people say if you've seen that orb or you tried to see it, you tried to go to it, that you would soon die. I don't know about that. But anyways, today we're here to see a Rose Veris. Now Rose was a Hungarian immigrant, and she came here sometime in the 20s. And she had a boarding house not too far from here, in the Delray section of what's now Detroit. But anyways, Rose had boarders, and in the day when you had boarders in your boarding house, it was not unusual for you to have life insurance on them. Well, not long after Rose had boarders, they started to die. And in 1931, Rose and her son William were accused of murdering 12 men. Well, Rose and her son went to jail, went to prison. They were found guilty. They were found guilty of one murder. I'll tell you about him in a minute when I read the information, because I want to make sure I get this one right, or as right as I can. And she admitted to that one murder. It was said that she said he fell off a ladder. The state contends that her and her son threw him out of the upstairs window, according to witnesses. But I'll read all that to you here in a little bit. But today we're going to be doing a session with Rose, and Rose is known as the Witch of Delray. Not the witch that goes boogly woogly. Well, maybe, yeah, the witch that goes boogly boogly, because all the people of Delray thought she was a real witch. They thought that if you looked at her, your husbands would lose their job. Your husbands would become lazy drunkards. Your husband would run off. And it made it hell for Rose to live where she was living. But anyways, after an hour and a half to 2 hours of looking, I finally found her grave. It's right over here. I'm going to shut down, set up my equipment, and then we're going to start. I'll tell you the story of Rose, and then after I'm done with that, we'll do a session. Hang on, don't go nowhere. Alrighty, Graveyard Talkers. So, as I said in the opening, we're here to talk to one person, and that's the person you're looking at right now, Rose Veris. Rose Veris lived from 1877 to 1960. She was born in Hungary, came over here sometime in the 1920s, married Gabor Veris, and Gabor Veris died strangely, mysteriously, in 1927. Rose had a boarding house, and she had guests that stayed there. I'm going to read you from an article that talks about her and what happened in her life. So we're going to have to call Rose an alleged serial killer. She was thought to have murdered 12 men. Her second husband, Gabor, buried to her left, was among them, in order to collect on their life insurance policies, excuse me. She admitted to and was convicted of killing Stephen Mack, M-A-K, but denies killing the others, even though she had a total of 75 insurance policies on the 12 men at the time of her arrest. And those 12 men were residents who lived in her home. Now, I tried to find the address of where her home was, and I was unable to find it. It's in the Delray section, which is just down the road, but there's no telling if that house is still there. So the neighbors in the area, in the neighborhood, were terrified of the so-called witch. They referred to her as the witch from Delray. And when it came to trial for her killing the 12 men, they refused to testify against her. They said, "We're afraid to catch her eye. She can make our children sick, make our husband lose jobs. She knows all kinds of magic." So that when it came time to give depositions, the superstitious Hungarians of the neighborhood would cringe and proclaim, "Me no talk." On August 23, 1931, 68-year-old Steve Mack was rushed to the hospital in Detroit after allegedly falling from a ladder at the boarding house where he lived. He died 2 days later from the injuries he sustained. Rose told police that she had asked Mack to repair an attic window and he had fallen off the ladder while doing so. Upon investigation, police discovered Veres had taken out an insurance policy on Mack's life. John Walker, who rented out the other half of the house that Veres operated as a boarding house, told police that he'd seen Veres and her 18-year-old son beat Mack, carry him up to the attic, and toss him out the window where the ladder stood. Walker claimed Veres had offered him $500 to keep quiet with what he had seen. Several days after the police investigation began, Mack's death and Veres' possible involvement, Assistant Prosecutor George Schultz reported that Veres had admitted to her friend that she had pushed Mack out the window after several attempts to poison him and had failed. On September 1st, 1931, Rose Veres and her son William were charged with murder, and 2 other lodgers were also arrested, with the police claiming that they had been responsible for attempting to poison Mack prior to his death. I could find nothing on those 2 tenants that supposedly helped her. So anyway, she went to prison, her son went to prison. They were found guilty of 1 murder, and that was Mack. And then several years later, her son filed an appeal and got off. He was released, and then Rose got a hold of a lady attorney that was a bulldog, and she filed to get Rose out of prison. And after a comedy of error by the original judge, who, when Rose's verdict was originally read, her guilty verdict, he wasn't even in the courtroom. So I thought today we'd come down here and talk to Rose after she was eventually acquitted on all the charges, even the charge of killing Mack that she admitted to. And we'll talk to her and see what she has to say. So to all the spirits here in Woodmere Cemetery, to Rose, to Gabor, my name is Randy. Now, I know that Rose, you spoke Hungarian and very little English, so I'm hoping in the spirit life you can actually speak English to us. What I want to find out, Rose, is what happened. Did you end up really killing those 12 other tenants in your boarding house? So with that, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to find information. Please feel to talk to me if you want. So Rose Veres, are you here with us today? Okay, as soon as I turned it on, the first thing I heard was leave now. Rose, are you telling us that are you telling me, I'm the only one here today, are you telling me that you want me to leave you alone? Well, it has been almost 100 years, 1931, and this is 2024, so was that 6, 7? So about 93 years. 93 years since you were arrested. Would you like to talk to us about you being arrested, the 14 years that you spent in jail, Mr. Mack, M-A-K, Mr. Mack, that you claim fell off the ladder?
Easy.
Our door.
Well, Rose, they called you the witch. Rose, they called you the witch of Delray.
No.
So, according to the articles I read, you hated that name, which I can understand why. What do you think caused them to call you the witch of Delray? So the story goes that you hired 2 other men to help you poison Mr. Mack. I'm going to assume M-A-K. He was Hungarian as well, but I'm going to pronounce it as Mack. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But the reports say that you hired 2 men to kill Mr. Mack. Is that correct?
Wheels.
All right, so it sounds like I heard, yes it is. So, of course, she did admit to killing him. So tell us, Rose, did he really fall off the ladder, or did you and your son throw him out the upstairs window?
Never.
So what happened that when you threw him out the window? Because I'm going to take it that that's what you did. You threw him out the window. I can't believe that he fell off a ladder. Well, let me do it this way. Tell me, throwing or ladder? You grab enough energy that you can and tell me, was he thrown out the window or did he fall off the ladder? And we'll go with that.
I would sound admire.
Well, it sounds more logical that you threw him out of the window. I mean, after all, you did have life insurance policy on the man.
And was doing.
Did I
Okay, thought I heard something about I was on the street looking. So if you were on the street looking, then that means that you're claiming he fell from the ladder.
Walking.
So why did, if he fell from the ladder, why try to poison him? Why try to hire two men to poison him? If he fell from the ladder, you know, I mean, it doesn't make sense that a couple of days after you tried to, after a couple of days before he climbed up on that ladder, you tried to get two men to poison him, or it didn't work. So you can see where the conflict comes into being there.
You can.
There's no one to
go.
Yeah, it looks kind of bad, doesn't it? So what about the 12 other people and your husband? Let me ask you this, Gabor, did you kill Gabor by poisoning him?
You are
All right, can you tell us how Gabor died? Can you tell us, I couldn't find anything on how he died. Could you tell us how he died? Okay, to the spirit who said forget about it. No, I'm not going to forget about it. That's why we're here. There's been a lot of books wrote. There's been a lot of televisions and movies about it, about the witch of Del Mar. And that's why we're here. We're here to get the record straight.
that so I found
So what about the 12 other men? Rose, what about the 12 other men? What happened with them?
normally
to run.
You would have to admit that 12 men dying and all of them living in your boarding house, you have to admit that that is pretty coincidental.
Well,
So let me ask you straightforward, Ruth, did you kill any of those 12 men for their insurance money or for any other reason?
terrible. Some
So are you able to tell me any of the reasons that the other 12 men died?
from a cal- and
Alrighty. Gabor, now if you're here, sir, I really just let your wife talk. Let me ask you flat out, Gabor. Did your wife, did Rose, murder you?
She died from our room.
So,
What?
I'll have to listen to that. But we'll listen to that. And if you hear wailing in the background, I am close to a mosque. And I don't know how often they turn on the speaker. So, Gabor, how did you die? Can you tell us how you died?
Matt, what's there's no getting and just lady.
Okay, I heard something about my son, and then after that I heard Michael. And I don't know where your son is. In there they list another Vera here, Vera's here, but it's not William. I don't know if that William was his American name or if this or just not listed. I don't know where your son is.
Don't stop. So,
Now, here's chemical.
Alrighty, and at this point, I heard chemical turtle out of that, so I have no idea what that means. So at this point, I'm going to let the speaker run for about a minute, let the spirit box run for about a minute. And Rose, if you'd like to say anything in your behalf, in your defense, clarification of anything. I don't have all the facts right, Rose. I've known about you for many a day, but for many years, but I really just did not know the story until I pulled it up this morning and read it. I knew I wanted to do a session here with you to talk to you, and I want to get your side. So for about the next minute or so, I'm going to let the spirit box run. This is your time, Rose. I'm going to ask all the other spirits here except for Gabor, all the other ghosts that are in here, please let Rose speak her mind to me through my spirit box so that we can understand her feelings and what she wants to get across about what happened in 1931. Rose, go ahead. It's your turn.
What?
This is
about stairs.
I think
Thing.
Alrighty. I do hear you in there, Mary Ellen. Is there anything you'd like to say to me before I close out today's spirit box session?
I think.
All right, I heard I'm lost and I heard incoming. Mary Ellen's here. So Mary Ellen, are you going to be taking care of those two spirits? Alrighty, and somebody said, what would Mary Ellen do? Well, I think Mary Ellen would take care of those two spirits. So with that, thank you all. More to come. And as I always say, you're not here to listen to what I have to say. You're here to listen to what they had to say, what Rose had to say today. and hopefully she said a whole lot. And with that, I'm not on camera, I'm standing behind the camera. So with that, I'll see all of you on the next one.